Brethren, Monday, February the 14th is Valentine's Day. I'm sure many of us would have seen all the signs that have been put up at various venues advertising Valentine's Day. Brethren, the focus of Valentine's Day is romance and love. Many people in the world will be celebrating it by giving gifts to their loved ones. And these gifts can include flowers, chocolates, cakes, perfumes, cards, and even dinner. Now, it's a very important day for the businesses that sell these items. And these businesses promote the giving of gifts to show your love. And it is one of the busiest days of the year for them. Now, the popularity of Valentine's Day seems to be increasing each year as more and more people participate in it. It has become so popular that even pets are now getting gifts. Now, the question that arises is, should Christians observe Valentine's Day? Since the emphasis is on love, isn't that what Christianity all about? So what's wrong with showing love to others? Another question, does God approve of this festival? Brethren, to answer these questions, we need to look at the origins and roots of Valentine's Day to see what's really behind it. So, brethren, in the Sermonette this morning, I want to examine the origins of Valentine's Day and what our focus should be as Christians. So, the title of the Sermonette today is Valentine's Day and Christians. Now let's begin by looking at the origins of Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, also called Saint Valentine's Day or the Feast of Saint Valentine, is celebrated annually on February the 14th. And it was established by Pope Gelasius I in AD 496. And it is celebrated on February 14th in honor of Saint Valentine of Rome, who died on that date in AD 269. However, when one looks at history, what we see is that the origins of Valentine's Day actually precede Christianity. It was preceded by the ancient Roman festival called Lupercalia. And the name Lupercalia was derived from the word lupus, which is the Latin for wolf. And it is connected to the pagan god called Lupercus, who protected herds from wolves. Now, it is also associated with the legendary she-wolf, who protected Romulus and Remus, and they are regarded as the traditional founders of the city of Rome. Now, this festival lasted for 3 days, from February the 13th to the 15th. And was believed to ward off evil spirits, curses, bad luck, and to help with fertility. Now, each Lupercalia festival started with sacrifices of goats and a dog by 2 Roman priests. These priests were called Luperci, and they traditionally split into 2 bands, and and ran a marked course around the city on this day. And they were scantily dressed in goat skins. Now, while they did this, they carried strips of goat skin to strike women who came near them, supposedly to restore their to remove their infertility and to make childbirth easier. And because women wanted this, they would often bare their flesh to make sure that the lashing did its job. Now, at the end of the 3 days, there would be a matchmaking lottery where young men would draw a folded card out of a bowl or jar with the name of a young lady. Now that person would then become their partner or sweetheart, both sexually or otherwise. They would then join together for at least one night, or often, sometimes for a whole year or longer, if the match was right. So those are some of the activities associated with Lupercalia. So how did this pagan festival become Valentine's Day? Well, under the Roman Emperor Claudius II, a priest named Valentine was persecuted and killed for his beliefs on February 14th. And over the years, as the Roman Catholic Church became stronger in Europe, they began substituting these pagan festivals with more Christian sounding names. The idea behind it was to entice pagan believers to come over to the now popular Christianity by basically allowing them to keep their festivals and pagan beliefs and celebrate them under the new Christian holidays. Therefore, to get rid of Lupercalia, they needed a lover's saint, and Valentine fit the bill and it was officially recognized. The Catholic Pope Gelasius thus officially condemned Lupercalia and even banned its observance. However, a new holiday was quickly added by him to officially list St. Valentine's Day as one of the church holidays, and it had many of the same practices as Lupercalia. So basically, Lupercalia was renamed St. Valentine's Day, and it now included new elements such as the Roman god of erotic love called Cupid, and it also included the newly named Valentine cards. And over the centuries, Valentine's Day has evolved to what is observed today. So now that we understand the background of Valentine's Day, it is important to ask the question, what does God think about this day? And does God care if we keep it and associate with Valentine's Day today? So now let's go to one of the best scriptures that deals with God's view on these pagan practices. So let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 12. Deuteronomy chapter 12, and let's begin at verse 29. Verse 29 says, "When the Lord your God cuts off from before you the nations which you go to dispossess, and you displace them and dwell in their land, take heed to yourself that you are not ensnared to follow them after they are destroyed from before you, and that you do not inquire after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? I also will do likewise. You shall not worship the Lord your God in that way. For every abomination to the Lord which he hates, they have done to their gods. For they burn even their sons and daughters in the fire to their gods. Whatever I command you, be careful to observe it. You shall not add to it, nor take away from it. Brethren, notice that God describes pagan practices as abominations. And Valentine's Day, with its traditions and customs, all come out of pagan practices. And they are an abomination to God, and he hates them. Therefore, we also should not want to have anything to do with them. Valentine's Day is just another one of Satan's devised festivals, meant to deceive and distract mankind away from the true festivals of God. And some of these Satan-inspired festivals include Halloween, Christmas, New Year's Day, Carnival, etc., just to name a few of them. Now, on the surface, these festivals may seem to be harmless and even good, but they are basically mixtures of good and evil. And by mixing good with evil in these counterfeit festivals, Satan has blinded the world to the true festivals of God. Valentine's Day is promoted as a festival and day of love. But the true festivals of love are actually God's feast days. And let's go to Jude chapter 12. Verse 12, which illustrates this point. The book of Jude, and let's look at verse 12. Verse 12 says, these are spots in your love feasts, while they feast with you without fear, serving only themselves. Brethren, notice the words love feast. God's festivals are the true festivals of love. They remind us of God's love for mankind as reflected in his plan of salvation. And in fact, the true festival of love is the Passover, which we'll be celebrating in a few months. The Passover pictures God's love for human beings when he sent his Son to die for the sins of all mankind. And brethren, we are all familiar with John chapter 3 and verse 16, which says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Brethren, whenever Valentine's Day comes around and the world focuses on romantic love, which comes from eros, the word eros, Latin or Greek for eros, we as Christians should focus on another type of love, agape, which is the love of God. And our emphasis should be on developing agape, and which is embodied in the two great commandments, loving God first and then loving others. So in conclusion, brethren, as the spring holy day season approaches, instead of participating in these pagan festivals that this world observes, our focus should be on the true festivals of love, God's festivals. And we should be examining ourselves and asking the question, how deep is our love for God and our fellow man? Are we growing in these vitally important areas? Or as it says in Matthew chapter 24 and verse 12, is our love growing cold? Brethren, as we draw closer to the end of this age and the return of Jesus Christ, let us ensure that our love is increasing and becoming hot and not growing lukewarm.